At the 2024 National Day rally, Prime Minister Lawrence Wong announced a major expansion to parental leave. Starting April 1, 2026, eligible working parents in Singapore will see their total leave entitlement jump to 30 weeks. When a number that large makes the headlines, the immediate assumption is a single parent disappearing from the office for over half a year. But that is not how the system is designed to work. We start with the existing 16 weeks of maternal leave and stack it alongside the 4 weeks of mandatory paternity leave. Then we add a 10-week block of shared parental leave, splitting it down the middle between both parents. If a couple decides to reallocate that shared time entirely to the father, his potential time away from the office increases from 4 weeks to a maximum of 14 weeks. The government has calculated the math and allocated the weeks, but policy alone doesn't raise a child. The actual utilization of this time relies on a deliberate cultural shift within both living rooms and corporate boardrooms. Consider the expecting father. He wants to be a present caregiver during those crucial early months, yet taking a 14-week absence carries a very real fear of workplace stigma and career stagnation. Then consider the SME owner. She wants to support her employees' growing families, but in a lean operation where every role is critical, a sudden 3.5-month manpower vacuum threatens the daily function of the business. This creates an immediate operational tension. When a father steps back for essential time at home, the employer loses an essential gear in their workflow. A state mandate provides the legal right to take leave, but without a plan for mutual cooperation, the father risks professional isolation while the business struggles to keep those gears turning. To understand how this works in practice, let's look at the mechanics. By default, those 10 weeks of shared parental leave are divided evenly, giving 5 weeks to the mother and 5 to the father. However, the system includes a flexibility mechanism. Parents can reallocate these 10 weeks in whatever proportion best suits their specific caregiving needs. There is a strict deadline for this process. Any changes to the leave sharing arrangement must be finalized within 4 weeks of the child's birth, ensuring the employer has enough lead time to arrange coverage. This interface represents the Life SG app, where parents execute these changes. Reallocating the weeks is as simple as adjusting a slider on a screen, but the mechanical ease of swiping a toggle masks a deeper psychological hurdle. For a man to claim those weeks, he has to willingly break traditional breadwinner norms in a highly competitive work environment. Mastering the app's interface does not guarantee the leave gets taken. If fathers lack the social courage to step away from their desks, the cultural status quo remains entirely intact. On the other side of the equation is the SME owner, facing a massive logistical anxiety. Who absorbs the financial blow when an employee leaves for 3 months? The government provides a financial safety net. The 4 weeks of paternity leave and the full 10 weeks of shared parental leave are entirely funded by the state. This flowchart illustrates the reimbursement process. The employer pays the usual salary, claiming funds back through the GPL portal. The state covers up to $2,500 weekly, capping around $10,000 monthly. SNUF is requesting 2 specific forms of support: financial subsidies to offset general business overheads, and a monthly allowance to compensate the remaining employees who now have to shoulder the absent father's workload. Government reimbursements ensure the company doesn't lose money on payroll, but to keep the business running, employers have to actively redesign their workflow and team structures to bridge the manpower gap. This brings us to the critical intersection between the family and the firm. If the parent and employer cannot reach a mutual agreement on a flexible schedule, the father's leave defaults to a single continuous block within the first 26 weeks, creating the maximum possible disruption. Yet if fathers routinely begin taking their full 14 weeks, it triggers a macro-level shift. It neutralizes the long-standing workplace bias that assumes only women represent a risk for extended parenting absences. Forward-thinking SMEs are already recognizing this. Instead of fighting the policy, they are using it as a catalyst to redesign jobs and offer flexible work arrangements, positioning themselves to attract top-tier, family-oriented talent. This 30-week policy provides the structure for a workplace where parenting is no longer viewed as a woman's primary obligation. It aligns the goals of the individual family with the growth of the firm, making flexibility a requirement for any business that wants to attract the next generation of workers.